This presentation will tell you more about the energy for transport system that enables Dutch fuel suppliers to fulfill their transport obligation in a cost-effective manner, and about the Dutch Emissions Authority that is responsible for the system. The Dutch Emissions Authority, NEA, is the independent national authority which supervises market tools that contribute to climate-neutral society. NEA falls under the Ministry of Economic Affairs and Climate Policy. It was founded in 2005 and presently has over 100 employees. The two most important market tools supervised are the European Emission Trading System, the EU ETS, and the Dutch Energy for Transport System, the so-called HBE system. We now focus on the Dutch Energy for Transport System. The transport sector accounts for about 25% of the CO2 emissions in Europe. To reduce the CO2 emissions by the transport sector, European legislation is in place. The Renewable Energy Directive, abbreviated to RED II, and the Fuel Quality Directive, abbreviated to FQD. The directives aim to increase the use of renewable energy and to reduce the CO2 emissions. The use of waste-based biofuels is stimulated, and the use of biofuels based on crops and used cooking oil is limited by the directives. In the Netherlands, the climate agreement also sets a target for the reduction of emissions from transport, going beyond the current RED II target. The transport targets are implemented in Dutch legislation through a market-based mechanism for the fuel suppliers. The users of fuel are not part of this mechanism. Companies that physically deliver renewable energy to the transport sector can claim these deliveries. They receive one renewable energy unit, called HBE, per gigajoule renewable energy, which they can trade with other companies. Companies surrender the HBEs to meet their obligations. The NEA registry Energy for Transport facilitates this Dutch trading mechanism. Let's first take a look at the obligations. The obligation applies to fuel suppliers that deliver petrol and diesel. The fuel suppliers need to register these petrol and diesel deliveries in an NEA registry, which determines the corresponding annual obligation. For 2023, the total annual obligation is 18.9% renewable energy of their fossil fuel deliveries. Of this total, there needs to be a minimum share of 2.4% waste-based renewables, named advanced biofuels. There is a maximum share of 1.4% food-based renewables, named conventional biofuels. And there's also a maximum share of 10% renewables based on used cooking oil, the so-called Annex 9b biofuels. This refers to an annex to RED II. The annual obligation is divided into four types of HBE: the HBE Advanced, the HBE Conventional, the HBE Annex 9b, and the HBE Other. On May 1st, fuel suppliers need to surrender the specific amounts of each HBE for the previous year. HBEs for the annual obligation are created via the physical deliveries of renewable energy to the Dutch market. Liquid biofuels such as bioethanol and biodiesel are most commonly used, but other forms of renewable energy are also rewarded in this mechanism. Biofuels need to be sustainable, which must be demonstrated with a proof of sustainability. Fuel suppliers register the deliveries of renewables in the NEA registry and will receive different type of HBE on their account, depending on the feedstock used. HBE Advanced for waste-based biofuels, HBE Conventional for food-based biofuels, HBE Annex 9b for biofuels based on UCO, and HBEs Other for other types of renewables, such as renewable electricity. Biofuels based on waste are double counting. 2 HBEs are received for each gigajoule. A fuel supplier requires a double counting certificate to make use of double counting. The market-based mechanism is summarized in this slide. On the left, the fuel suppliers that physically deliver renewable energy to the Dutch market, which is then claimed in the NEA registry. They receive 4 different types of HBE, which they can use to fulfill their own obligations or sell to other fuel suppliers with obligations on the right side. all parties surrender the HBA's to fulfill their obligations into the NEA registry. Consequently, a fuel supplier can choose to deliver renewable energy itself or obtain HBA's from other fuel suppliers. This leads to a cost-effective compliance with transport targets. The role of NEA in the market-based mechanism is that we have been the competent authority for renewable energy in transport since 2011, assigned by the Ministry of Infrastructure and Water Management. We have various tasks. NEA administers the HBA register. We perform inspections at fuel suppliers and biofuel producers and impose sanctions where needed. However, we also offer support by providing information on our website, through our help desks and meetings. NEA reports on the use of renewable energy in Dutch transport and provides policy advice. We do not have a role in HBA trading. We only see the result of the trade as a transfer of HBA's in the NEA registry. I would like to end by providing an overview of the developments for the reduction of transport emissions. First of all, the Dutch implementation of the RED III transport requirements in 2025, with a CO2 reduction target instead of an energy target, and consequently with a tradable CO2 reduction unit. Furthermore, the Refuel Aviation Regulation that will require fuel suppliers to deliver sustainable aviation fuels. And finally, the new emissions trading system for road transport, buildings and other sectors, the ETS2, that will apply to fuel suppliers as well. This was our explanation of how the Dutch energy for transport system works. If you have any questions, please visit the NEA website or contact our help desks. Thank you very much.